Welcome to another episode of Lisa, Hendey and Friends after such a very, very, very long time of going without a podcast. I decided this morning would be a great time to jump back on the podcasting wagon and also to give a try to this live feature at Substack. So simultaneously, I'm doing both. If you're a longtime subscriber to my podcast, welcome back after a very, very, very long hiatus. I think it's been years, actually. I know it has been because I think my last podcast actually dropped in 2020 when all heck was breaking loose with COVID. And here I am back and just really want to kind of take today to savor the feelings that I'm having. I know that everybody, we've all friends that are Catholic creators and friends who are faithful and friends who are interested in their faith have been taking this moment to kind of soak in a very big piece of history. And so I thought for myself that I would try to just capture a little bit of the feelings that I've been having in the last 2 days so that I can really just remember back on this and have it to look back on in the future. And so why not try Substack Live? This is my first time on. And if you're joining the live and you're interested in this topic too, I'd love to hear from you in the comments or even I've never tried adding a guest, but if you're somebody that would like to try with me adding a guest, that would be great too. So you could put your comment down in the comments and I'll try to add you and see what happens. But anyway, I just wanted to share a little bit about where I was yesterday at the moment that this was announced. I am in the Western time zone and here in the United States. I live in California and normally I'm in Los Angeles, but right now I'm up in San Francisco with my family doing what I'm referred to as grandma duty, about 3 weeks of extended time, just giving some help to my son and daughter-in-law with my two preschool aged granddaughters and my three grand dogs, two labs and an English retriever, and my grand kitten. So it's a very full house here. So yesterday, well, first of all, let me say for the last few nights, I haven't slept well because, the time zone change is so different. And I I was anxious to hear the news when it happened. So of course, like I'm in California time and I kept just like waking up about every hour with my phone right next to my head, looking and seeing, checking all my trusted news sources to see overnight. And at a certain point I realized, okay, we're not gonna have any smoke. I can go to sleep for a little while. So I woke up in the morning, got the girls ready for preschool, did the drive and I the drive that to drop my eldest daughter off at preschool is it's about a 30-minute drive across San Francisco. Driving in LA and driving in San Francisco are very different from each other, and so it was interesting to be driving Charlie to school and knowing that it could be happening any moment. And I drove across town, got her dropped off in the drop-off line at school, and then turned around, turned my phone onto Catholic TV's live stream, and it was Bishop Reed and Kevin Nelson. Thank you so much for your great coverage. There's so many great ways to listen to the conclave, but that's who I was listening to on their YouTube channel. And they actually decided to take a break. So I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. Maybe they know something I don't know. So I switched from them over to CNN and was listening as Vatican analyst and amazing mom and good friend, Katie Prejean McGrady was doing her analyst thing, and all of a sudden they announced blacks or white smoke, which was like, wow. And I was so really amazed by my personal reaction, which was immediate tears. And gosh, even now I feel emotional talking about it. Just that sense of anticipation and joy. This is not my first rodeo. I'm 63 years old, so I'm 7 years younger than our new Holy Father. But it's really, as I remember from when Francis was elected, such an emotional time. And we have such anticipation of who is it going to be. Of course, I've been reading so many people who have analysis of who they believed that some of the front runners were, but as they always say, don't believe that. It's not likely to happen. And of course, I had heard of Cardinal Prevost, but he wasn't on my list of front runner cardinals that I was watching. If I'm being honest, I'll admit that I really have loved Cardinal Tagle, and that's because I had some amazing time in the Philippines, and I have a sponsored child through Unbound in the Philippines. And so I've just kind of fallen in love with the Philippines, and I love his spirituality and just his spirit in general. So I was kind of watching him. But anyway, announcement of white smoke, announcement of, that there would be this waiting period. And then that seemed to last a long time. So I'm driving around San Francisco trying to think about if I should go home or what I should do, just listening and kind of sneaking peeks at my phone every once in a while, watching and listening to the bells. So I decided that I would go back to my son's house, park the car, waiting for who the announcement would be. And then I got a text from my dear, lovely daughter in law asking me if I would come pick her up at work. So I got back in the car and still no announcement of the name of our new pope, but jumped back in the car and went to go pick up my daughter in law. So again, driving across San Francisco traffic, and she got in the car. So I don't want to be the person who's like listening to the radio while I'm driving with another person. So I turned it off, and we were sitting and talking. And then while we were driving across town back again to bring her home, she received a notification on her phone that I think it was from the New York Times that basically, and what she told me is we have our first American Pope. And then together we just had this great conversation about what that meant and what I knew of him and what my reaction was. And I drove her home, and then she went upstairs to do her work, and I came down here to my little grandma space that I live in, and immediately began checking all of my favorite online sources for more information. And one thing that I was so excited about was that my nephew and godson, who is currently studying in Rome, was actually able to be in St. Peter's Square. At the moment that he heard about the white smoke, he ran. He's a student at Notre Dame. He ran from their facility where he's studying across town to St. Peter's to be there, and somehow wormed his way right up front and was there when the announcement was made, which what a gift, right? To have a family member who's there. It's kind of like experiencing it yourself, being there through the eyes of a loved one, and especially my godson. So exciting to experience it through his eyes. And yeah, just so excited about this moment in history. Of course, I think as a writer, my immediate reaction is to try to go to as many reliable sources as I can find and to kind of soak some of that in. And then to linger in it, and most of all to pray. And I do want to say that my first reaction when I saw Pope Leo XIV come out to the balcony at St. Peter's was just how emotional he looked. And his opening words, "Peace be with you," the sensation that I had just listening to him, an immediate sense of peace and joy and excitement and encouragement and hope. We're in this Jubilee year of hope. So it was really very special to see him. I am, as you can tell from right now, I'm getting choked up, an emotional person. And I felt the weight of his emotion. I think the camera was zoomed in close enough that you could see tears welling in his eyes as he took in the crowd assembled before him, and probably also as he had tried to imagine all of the many people assembled around the world who were joining him in this historic moment. I cannot imagine what something like that must feel like, and how he composed himself to offer such beautiful opening remarks, welcoming remarks, and then to offer his blessing. I want to say that I was very touched by the fact that he prayed with us the Hail Mary. we're very close to the anniversary of my parents' funerals. They passed away within 10 months of each other, and we mark their days of going to heaven, but we also mark their funeral dates. So they've both been on my heart this last few weeks. And my mother passed away of complications of Parkinson's disease. And one of the factors that she dealt with it late in her illness was that she was largely nonverbal. She had very few words, but the words that she had toward the end of her life were the Hail Mary. And how amazing is that? That if you can only verbalize one thing, that it would be your favorite prayer, a prayer through the intercession of our Blessed Mother. So I automatically think of my mom when I hear the Hail Mary, and to pray it with our new Holy Father just immediately took my heart to my mom and my dad too. I love, love, love that he addressed his diocese in Peru, and I love that he did so in Spanish. I think it was telling that he spoke in Italian and in Spanish, and not necessarily in English yesterday. And we had a lot of discussion of him being the first American pope, but he's also, the first Peruvian citizen to be our Holy Father too. So what an amazing thing. Anyway, it was just such a historic moment, those few moments that we had him. And then the rest of the day, my phone was blowing up with texts like yours probably was too. Our family chat was full of pictures and memes and reactions. And I had texts from writer friends and texts from friends who aren't Catholic. And that struck me too. The number of people who reached out to say that they were watching, that they were excited, that they were thinking of me. What a great moment that we're living. This happened also when our Holy Father, Pope Francis, passed away, that a lot of my friends who are not necessarily churchgoers or people of faith, that they actually took time to reach out, that they were touched by this man, that they felt a kinship and wanted to have a conversation. And I find that one of the great things about living as a person of faith right now and walking alongside people who don't necessarily share my faith is that I can actually answer their questions in whatever way I can, but just, hear them right where they are and hear their hopes and hear their questions. It was interesting last night at a dinner to hear from family members, and just hear the questions the kids had about, what this new Holy Father might be like. I don't know. I know what I've read of his history, and I can't predict what his agendas will be. But I do know just from those few moments that we saw him there on the balcony that he really does seem to be a man of very deep and strong faith. And all agendas aside, all discussions of, you know, I don't like discussing conservative or traditional or liberal or whatever when it comes to faith, but all that stuff aside, he seems to be a man whose heart is very close to Jesus, who has walked with those on the margins, the poorest of the poor, and who will say that he's learned from them too, in his faith journey. And so for me, that's what I'm really clinging to, because I'm always on my own journey to be closer to Jesus Christ. And sometimes I'll admit that the politics of our church and all of the machinations can be very overwhelming, and sometimes frustrating or discouraging. But this is our faith. And this is a man who wants to lead us closer to Jesus and who also wants to lead us into peace. And as we know from our Holy Father, Pope Francis, when that was his big agenda, we're in a time where we need that peace. And so to have someone who comes out and immediately says to us, peace be with you, and leads us into a journey toward peace in our world and peace in our hearts. That's awesome. So Anyway, I just wanted to take these few moments to get this down so that I will remember because I know that 6 months from now, a year from now, when things are crazy busy, I won't necessarily remember how I felt on these days, but I want to remember that for myself. For those who are listening to this on the podcast feed, please put up with the fact that I don't have great audio today. But I do have the intention to get back to regular podcasting. And for everybody who is watching on Substack right now, or who will see this on my feed, thank you for your support in my Substack. I'm new to the platform, and so I'm trying to find ways to learn to use it better to support you, to serve you, and to walk alongside you. So until the next time that we're together on the podcast or here at Substack, I wish you all the best. Please join me in praying for Pope Leo XIV. Please pray for me and know that I'm praying for you. God bless. And I don't know how to turn this off. So here we go. Hit end.